Edward Brock has become a god among the symbiotes, literally their god. And today we're going to tell you the new direction that story is taking. But you have found yourself at the Comicstorian channel, where I take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites. I read them back to you in a dramatic voice, giving you a synopsis of the storyline, allowing you to go to the local comic book store to get the rest of the context, or pick up the next issue as you now know what is going on. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now today we're going to be covering Venom #1, the brand new direction for Venom. But before we can get into that, I feel like I need to explain a few things, as many of you may have come from the Venom movie, which means you have no idea what's going on. Over the course of the last 10 years or so, it was discovered that Venom was a space alien with an entire race of symbiotes, but we discovered that their god was known as the King in Black, and while they wanted to be heroic, he wanted them to conquer the entire universe. Eddie Brock and Venom ended up traveling to the afterlife of the symbiotes, where they fought against Null, the King in Black, and eventually came back to our reality and defeated Null. But kind of like an old tribal thing, whoever defeats Null, whoever defeats the King, and Eddie Brock became the King in Black. And he also aged drastically to an older Eddie Brock. Well, during this period, we also discovered that Eddie had a son. His son's name is Dylan, and Dylan has the ability to force symbiotes to do whatever he wants. When Eddie became the King in Black, Venom was then passed on to become the new Venom. But Dylan is still a kid. Dylan still has to go to school and do kid things, so him and Venom apparently aren't getting along that well. As the new King in Black, Eddie has the ability to look across the entire galaxy and see what's happening anywhere as long as a symbiote can see it. And that brings us to today. Eddie, the King in Black, is looking across the galaxy trying to save the entire galaxy, and Dylan has Venom. And we're going to start a brand new direction with a brand new writer, well, two writers, and a brand new storyline that's going to span the entire cosmos. So I hope you enjoy over-the-top, insane stuff happening in Venom, because I feel like that's the direction we're going in. If you like being caught up on what's happening in comic books and you like me dramatically reading the storylines to you, consider hitting that like button, hitting subscribe, and turning on your notifications. And on that note, let's get into the brand new Venom #1. As the motel burns up around him, Dylan tells himself that this was everything he was told not to do. Don't get into any kind of trouble. Don't draw attention to yourself. And whatever you do, don't bond with a symbiote. As Dylan tries to find the answers as to what is happening, this story actually begins 12 hours earlier, somewhere in the middle of space. Since becoming the King in Black, Eddie Brock has been doing what he could with the symbiotes to undo the destruction that Null left in his wake. Being able to see and act through thousands of symbiotes with just a mere thought, Eddie Brock took it upon himself to show the galaxy that symbiotes are not something to be scared of. However, among his symbiotes, there is one that is different. One with a glowing set of red eyes. And while securing a spaceship taken over by pirates, Eddie sends out his symbiotes to gain control of that ship and look for the survivors. One symbiote spots the pirates and informs Eddie, and within a second, Eddie is looking through the eyes of that symbiote and has taken control. A pirate sees him and begins to shoot, yelling that this is vengeance for the dead of Largo 4, a name unfamiliar with Eddie, but he can already assume the context of it. But while Eddie is handling a group of space pirates back on Earth, Dylan has found himself in his 4th fight at school in 2 weeks, and he's becoming increasingly angry. Between everything that has happened, Eddie has been gone for days and weeks at a time, and Dylan hasn't had much of a father figure. You see, when you're the King in Black, you're a little busy scouring the entire universe for problems. The only one who's really watching over him is his personal symbiote bodyguard, Sleeper the Cat. However, it would be normal for a teenager who has been, for the most part, left on his own. More so after the things that he has recently been through. But back up in space, Eddie handles 3 pirates with ease, webbing them up and securing the control room. At that moment, one of the other symbiotes messages him that they need help. Please. And the tone in the symbiote's voice is off. It's almost as if a symbiote being, a creature known for being feared throughout the galaxy, was scared. Eddie shifts his mind over to control that symbiote, and that's when he sees it. One of the symbiotes that had come with him went rogue and killed all of the survivors on that ship. But that wasn't all. The red-eyed symbiote says that he has come to deliver a message from the future, and they wanted to make sure that he'd listen. Whatever it was, or whoever it was, Eddie couldn't get a read on them. Whatever this symbiote is, he can't tap into its mind like he can literally any other being. As the King in Black, he can see any other symbiote's brainwaves. He can read their minds, but he can't look at this one. And this red-eyed symbiote tells him not to get too comfortable on his throne. It'll soon be empty. This is not a threat. This is not a warning. Simply a statement of fact. He will not know the day nor the hour, and he won't see it coming. So we should say his goodbyes now. Talk to the people that he loves, his son and his other. Tell them to run, tell them to hide. It won't make any difference. And with that, the red-eyed symbiote crumbles away, destroying itself. Later, back on Earth, Eddie returns home in the middle of the night, telling Dylan that he needs to get up. Dylan wakes up asking what is going on, but Eddie tells him that he needs to get up and pack a few things. We're leaving. I don't have a lot of time, and I'll explain it when we're on the move. Oh, and where is Venom? Dylan says he doesn't know. Venom is technically with Dylan at this time, but he goes off on his own. And after seeing as there aren't any reports of Venom sightings or brains being devoured, it can't be bad that he's off on his own. Eddie groans. I'll look around the house, get your things and get ready. But while Dylan does that, his cell phone rings as he gets a call from Eddie. Dylan answers it, and Eddie yells on the other line, listen, don't say a word. I know he's there, but you have to get ready and leave, but out the window. Grab the shoes that you always forget under the bed. Climb up the drain pipe that you always use to sneak out. Come to the diner, the one with the burnt pancakes that you hate. There's a motel there. I'll be in room 112. I'll see you there. Remember, don't draw any attention and don't bond with the symbiote. Meanwhile, over at the motel, Eddie hangs up trying to make sense of what he saw out in space. It said that something was coming, and that he wouldn't see it. He can connect every single symbiote with just a thought, and if he can connect to any symbiote, why not any when? After a few moments of convincing himself that this isn't a far-fetched idea, Eddie begins to concentrate, and finally, something happens. Glimpses of things play out in his mind, a fire, attackers, and a red symbiote, and it screamed out that its name was Bedlam. A short while later, Eddie stumbles out of bed as Dylan tries to call him, but just misses it. He calls back, but it goes right to voicemail, and he rambles, trying to tell everything that he can. Eddie looks outside to see lights shining and sees Dylan step off a bus and begin to run outside, telling him to wait. But before he could hardly make it out the door to warn his son, an attack helicopter fires a rocket, destroying the entire motel. Dylan shouts, trying to run towards the explosion, but a red-caped Venom grabs him. Now with Venom, Dylan takes out all of his anger on the soldiers. And even though he was told not to, he bonded with Venom. However, even though Eddie's body was destroyed, his mind wasn't, and it began to fall through time as he did before. When he comes to, he crawls out of a black lake, wearing a symbiote, or is the symbiote. Eddie doesn't even know anymore. He asks where he is, and a voice tells him to try not to speak. He just reconstituted from the available matter. He'll need a minute to get his bearings. This is his first step on a long, long road. Eddie looks up to a large man in black standing before him, and the man tells him, "And I will be with you every step of the way. My name is Meritus, friend. And here, at the furthest end of it all, I welcome you to the garden." And there you have it, the brand new and out there direction for Venom #1. We got Dylan bonding with Venom himself. We got Eddie traveling through time, doing his own thing. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be broken into two different parts from what I understand, written by two different writers, one telling the stories of Dylan and one telling the stories of Eddie. So I'm excited for it. I hope you are as well. If you want to know when the next part of Venom comes out, we'll probably be doing it when there's about 2 to 3 issues, so give it about a month. But if you hit that like button, hit subscribe, and hit that notification button, you'll know when we cover the next part of Venom. And on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you think of this new direction that Venom is going in. And I'll see you next time right here.